Hoi there, it's Skyward Shield. Welcome to the final episode for Football Talks of the 2016-2017 season. I am joined by Bill. Say hello, Bill.
Hey, hey!
That's it. It's over. The fight is over. This season is now officially in the books, and it will be remembered well in football history, despite the low ratings for most of the season. Because this was a Super Bowl to remember at first glance. It was a tale of two halves. If you just watched the first half, you look like this was going to be a forgettable season or a forgettable Super Bowl, just like the Denver Broncos and the Seattle Seahawks Super Bowl a few years back. But no, Bill. But the second half proved to be one of the most interesting finishes you will ever see in your life. You saw history be made when Brady was just on the field playing, but now you just saw Brady make a new kind of history you did not think he could make. But,
Right.
Bill, let's go over this by halves. Let's start with the first half, Bill. The Patriots looked like they were sluggish. Almost
No,
like
they
they were having a bit of a hangover from a Super Bowl from 2 years back.
right. They came out and they moved the football, but they came out and just played a poor half of football. That was very poor.
What was going to be a big Achilles heel for this team, like how I would say with Dallas, the weak defense was actually playing very well, and I think what you saw was a taste of what not Bob Quinn, or Dan Quinn's idea for this team's future. I believe I mentioned it in last week's podcast how I thought soon this team, even when Kyle Shanahan goes, which yes, he's gone, he is now the 49ers head coach. I really wish him luck with that because I don't see him coming out of that thing alive in one piece. But I mean, if he could turn it around, by all means, go ahead. I like Kyle Shanahan. He's a fun
Right.
coordinator. I don't know if he'll do better as a coach, but anyway, I said that because now that he's going, that means this Falcons team is not going to have to be relying on the offense. They need to rely on the defense more.
Right.
Their past couple
And
drafts have been focused on defense, so it'll be interesting to see if they keep pursuing that this year.
yeah, their young defense came out to play. They were in Tom Brady's face the entire first half. Tom Brady was getting hit. Tom Brady just had people in his face, and that is the recipe for success against him. So they executed the game plan at the beginning of that game tremendously well. That's the MO. You gotta get in Brady's face. You gotta get your hands up, tip passes. Just make sure you're always making him uncomfortable. And they did that to perfection in the first half.
Mm. But the last few minutes, even though they just put up 3 points, the Patriots were starting to get the hang of this defense because Bill. Now I think we can move into the second. Oh no! Well, before we get to the second half, one thing to mention: Brady's pick six. I'm no football expert and I'm no Tom Brady, but when you see that replay from his back, from that perspective, you see an open man, but he waited. He should not have waited. If he didn't wait and see that open space and all that field to get a first down, and he threw it there, you would not have had a 14 to. You would have had a 14-3 game,
Yeah,
maybe more.
the old saying in football is if you throw it late, you're going to get picked, basically.
Yeah, I think what he was hoping for was for him to get farther in to throw it because I think he expected. I want to say it was Edelman or Amendola. I'm not sure. Whoever it was, I think he wanted him to be past the first down mark, which he wasn't at that spot. Some
right.
some
Yeah.
quarterbacks want to get that guaranteed yardage. You know what I mean? Like, would you rather throw it to the guy that's like 5 yards in for near the first down mark, and hope he makes it past that point on his own, or do you want to try and risk it and throw it past the guy who's past the sticks, and if he catches it, then you're guaranteed a first down. I think
Yeah.
he chose the latter option, and he paid for it with 7 points.
Right. I mean, it really depends on where you are in the game you
I
believe that he's open.
I
You
know
know,
they
and
won
where
and he feels great, but I really would have loved to ask him what was he planning, what was the plan on that play.
I think the plan is that he felt like the team was uh, down in terms of momentum, and I think he was trying to build some more momentum and make it like a 14-7 game where it's a one-score game going into halftime or into late into the second quarter, whereas you know that pick six happened and it was a 21-nothing game. It could have been a 14-7 game. They have all the momentum that
If
and
anything, it was bad that it was a pick six
oh
because
yeah,
that just
definitely.
further because here's the thing. If Brady stopped him, say at the 40, then that means the Falcons have 60 yards to cover to get to the end zone, which gives the
And
defense time to rest. And now he can transition to the second half because Bill, the problem is that you did not let this team get the proper rest because we mentioned before we recorded this, Atlanta is doing what Dallas has been doing right for years when they have a run game. And I'm not just saying, oh, pound the ball to chew the clock. Not just to chew the clock. The Dallas Cowboys, for their defense, they need to masquerade that thing. Because if it's not being praised as good, that means teams can see, oh, I can exploit this. Especially, like, there's a reason why the Cowboys don't score quick. At first, I did not understand why, but seeing this game made me understand, and that's why I can see why Jerry Jones drafted Elliott, even though I think he would have been fine with Alfred Morris. If you just pound the rock because you're chewing up clock, you're not just chewing up clock to give the other team less chance or less of a chance to score, forcing them to score quick, but you're also giving your defense, which is very much exploitable as Aaron Rodgers showed in the divisional round. You give your defense a chance to rest, so when they can come out, when they have to come out at some point, they can try to make it become a turnover team because I still am convinced Dallas's defense from when Romo was leading them to the divisional round was a lot better than this year's Dallas defense, even though they had better corners. Why? Because that team was hungry for turnovers. They did not want to be on the field for too long because they knew damn well they could be exploited by an Aaron Rodgers, which eventually happened anyway. Ironic. But still, they thrived on turnovers. This is what this team also did. The Falcons thrived on turnovers, though they'd never turned them into pick sixes or a fumble return for a touchdown. Because when they
right,
went down, that means that's the offense's job to score. What do
right.
you think, Bill?
I I honestly believe, if you have a decent to great running game and a decent to great quarterback, that can be almost a that can be the nail in the coffin for a lot of teams because the quarterback is going to check into plays that puts them in the best position to gain yards. Like running the football and getting 5 yards on first down is not a bad idea. Running the football on a 2nd and 7 and getting 5 yards is not a bad idea. It keeps the clock moving and makes third down an easily convertible down where it's 3rd and 2. You can throw a short pass, an easily completable pass, or you can run the football again and chew more clock. And it keeps your defense on the sideline rested, ready and raring to go. And I feel like, the Atlanta Falcons for most of this game, and they sort of strayed from what they typically do.
I think
They
only
typically
only one, maybe two drives were over 3 minutes,
right. I mean, and
and
that's
that's
not a
bad.
good recipe. That is a horrible recipe because what made Atlanta great was the running game of Devontae Freeman and Tevin Coleman.
And it was
Tevin
working.
Coleman. Yeah, I mean, the second play of the game, they ran a 30-yard run.
Yeah, and on their
You
final
keep doing
drive,
that.
the Falcons' final drive to try and stop the Patriots from getting another shot. First play, Devontae Freeman runs 34 yards, almost uncontested. For a minute, I thought he was going to run all the way to the house.
Right. I mean, it's Kyle Shanahan, while being a great offensive coordinator and he's getting a job in the NFL, more power to him. But they did what the Lions do when they have a running game going for them. They went away from it. They started getting pass happy for no reason, and it stopped the clock. And it showed in the fourth quarter.
The other thing was, I'm surprised they did not utilize Julio Jones, who kept saying during the week of the Super Bowl that he's uncoverable. Well, I mean, yes, each catch he made, on all 4 attempts he caught the ball, and they were great. Honestly, people think that one play where he had to stretch his arms out, his athleticism to get up there, secure the ball, while also making sure his feet were already in bounds, which was a very good move. But when we get to the fourth quarter, that was play of the game for me. I know I ain't no Overwatch channel, but if I had to choose a play of the game, that would be it. The Edelman catch, which we'll get to in a minute, that was play of the game. But each of Julio Jones were not just as great, but they were very great on their own as well. He was great. It's just surprising that they did not get to him as much as they could, because each one he made was contestable, and yet he made it look easy. Right. Other receivers, unless you're Hopkins or freaking Antonio Brown, I don't think you're making that catch.
You know who was uncoverable for most of the game for the Patriots? Taylor Gabriel. Taylor Gabriel was going off in that game.
Yeah, Brady had to really spread the ball around for that. Like, Chris Hogan was surprisingly quiet. You want to not talk about some unsung heroes, which I know Brady deserved the award for MVP, but I think another one who did deserve it, James White.
James White. If it wasn't for Brady having 466 yards and 2 touchdowns, James White, to be fair, he should have won it. He accounted for he was almost an unstoppable force for most of the game.
And remember, after LeGarrette Blount fumbled the ball, you pretty much never saw him again that game. The Patriots, because we're going to talk free agent stuff for them, because they have 9 free agents to go through.
Right.
They're not going to sign all of them, but LeGarrette Blount, he wants to return, and the Patriots say they want him back. But I think they're going to completely degrade his role because of that.
To be fair, I honestly don't believe that they're not going to get rid of his role. What his role is the power running back in the goal line situation area. It's just typically when you fumble on a Bill Belichick team, you're not going to carry the football for the rest of the game unless someone else fumbles the football and then Belichick gets mad at them and they'll go back to you. That's the sort of philosophy they've had. It's happened with Stephen Ridley in the past. Stephen Ridley had a fumbling problem on the Patriots, and they consistently took him out of games after he did it.
Then they cut him, and now he's with the Giants.
And he's
not even
a starter.
Yeah, but anyway, I was gonna say something about something else about the offense, but yeah, it was pretty much James White's show on the ground. In fact, Tom Brady had the most yards in a single run, 15. But another unsung hero, I don't think he was MVP worthy, but another really good player who was quiet all season long, Danny Amendola.
Yeah.
My friend Leafy was very happy to see that he was having a good game. In fact, he caught a 2-point conversion one of the 2-point conversions as well. It was good because this guy had to make some really good catches, and some were a little hard. A few of them were on the were near out of bounds. So really good that despite having a quiet season, he showed up when it mattered, because I think that basically showed that the Falcons did not see him as a threat. Because, Edelman was the go-to guy who also had some great catches, which I think now we can mention. Edelman's catch, it felt like the Patriots had their own, that one catch that secured the win over them, like when the Giants played them twice.
a David Tyree type catch.
Yep.
You know.
I think you saw the ghost of Tyree there. But this time in the
Yeah.
Patriots' favor, and that catch. You want to know why that thing was secured? I think that the fact that the Falcons were trying to take it from him was the biggest mistake. They should have let him try, if like the ones who went under him in particular should have let him try to catch it with his one hand, because their arms helped keep that ball from hitting the floor. If
Right.
anything, they should have focused on trying to push it on the floor. This is the bad thing with some cornerbacks. Sometimes catches are made because cornerbacks tried to make a big play. They tried to bite more than they could chew.
I
And it
I, I won't I won't bash the corners on
well, to me it's like
Atlanta for that.
you want to try to make an interception and be a hero. What you could have also done is push that thing to hit the floor, and if it touched the ground, if it touched so much as grazed the grass, that's an incomplete pass.
I'll put it this way. You know, if you're in that position and you're basically trying to rip it out, so that way it's an incomplete pass in general. So, I mean, the issue with that is that they're trying to make sure that it's an incomplete pass and they're 30 yards back. You know, and I'm not that is, you know, in a spur of a moment, you know, when you're making a decision on the fly, you're done do what you've done all year and what you've done all your entire career, and that is try to rip the ball out of someone's hands. That way, it's an incomplete pass at worst, or maybe even a fumble. You know, that's you know, I won't fault the Atlanta Falcons for that. You know, it was just, it's one of those things that, you know, it's just one of those weird catches, like the Seattle catch. You know, Malcolm Butler got yelled at by everybody and their brother for tipping that ball, and the ball's, you know, flopping around on the leg of uh, Doug Baldwin, you know. But in the end, you know, he did what he always did what he was, you know, paid to do, and that's tip the ball away. He just made an amazing catch, and you know, what's his face? Edelman made a really great catch. It's a 1 in a million chance that he got that catch.
Edelman says it was 70% luck and 30% skill. I want to say it was the other way around.
I would say it's about 95% luck and 5% skill. I mean, he has to have strong hands to do that, but I mean, for the football to be in that position, and you know, it just, three Atlanta Falcons missed the interception. You know, that's a lot of luck.
Yeah. By the way, I still want to put out there, I think that the MVP award should be named, when Brady retires, name it after him. And when Belichick retires, you name the Coach of the Year award after him.
I mean, you know,
By the way, The Simpsons predicted this very same Super Bowl. They got the score wrong, but the Patriots did beat the Falcons in a Super Bowl, according to The Simpsons show. So that's two things they got in a row right now. That Trump would become president, and then this.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's getting scary. The Simpsons are predicting the future.
Oh yeah.
Man.
But anyway, and as for the rest of this fourth quarter, Tom Brady was showing that this defense was tired and exploitable. This defense has always been exploitable, and any good offense could do that, except for the Packers. But yeah, I think with what Tom Brady proved to come back from this, and people were always debating, no, the greatest of all time is Peyton Manning. It's Terry Bradshaw. It's Joe Montana. Or it's Aaron Rodgers. And some people still think Aaron Rodgers is better. Now, you could say because Aaron Rodgers is in his prime right now and Brady isn't, you could make that case. But no, if I'm talking in their prime, I'm taking Tom Brady. Because Tom Brady is has always been in a better situation. The team is built around him, and not just on offense, but on defense too. I think with Brady, you build a lot more smarter than you do Rodgers, because it seems when people pick Rodgers,
I mean,
they solely rely on him.
I mean, I'll put it this way. Aaron Rodgers is a good to great quarterback, but he's nowhere in the league of Tom Brady. There's only very few quarterbacks in that league. Peyton Manning revolutionized the game. You know, Johnny Unitas, Joe Montana, Otto Graham. Those are great quarterbacks. Truly great. They're ahead of the rest. Tom Brady, while he hasn't innovated the game, he's been the greatest at the game.
I'd say he's mastered the craft.
You cannot go to 6 straight AFC title games. You cannot go to 7 Super Bowls in your career and not be great at the game. I mean, he had one injury-plagued season, and I mean, legitimately, if you're planning for the Patriots, if Tom Brady's playing at quarterback, you know that they're either a 13-3 or a 14-2, or at worst a 12-14. That is legit consistency. And the one year that Brady was out, they still went 11-5. I mean, that just shows how great the team overall is.
Like I said, people build around Brady because they know he can do it on his own, but they don't rely on Rodgers. Like, they only care about getting him weapons. But people don't build around his line, which has been a problem. They didn't give him many running backs. Granted, some of them have been hurt. I'll give him that much for this year at least. But on defense, what do they have? They're like, oh, we have Ryan Matthews. That's all we need. You don't need just one guy. Like, I don't care about if Houston had just J.J. Watt and a bunch of nobodies on that team. That's not a good defense. That's just the J.J. Watt show. What about days when J.J. Watt can't play because of an injury, or he's on, or whatever? You have to have other players to rely on. They don't have a good overall show. They don't.
And
that's why the Packers I think will never win a Super Bowl until they have decent. It's like the same thing I said with the Cowboys. Until you get a decent, reliable defense, which we're going to talk about Dallas in a bit and how they look in the future for next season. I'm going to say what I'm going to say about them to the Packers. Until you get a reliable defense that you can lean on when you need to, you will never win a Super Bowl.
I mean, if we were to really look at every team in the NFC, compare them to the Patriots, they all had the exact same issue. They had a great offense and a terrible defense.
Except for Houston. They were the exception.
No, but that's the AFC. I'm talking NFC.
Oh, yeah.
Green Bay, Dallas, Detroit, Seattle. They were all the exact same team. They were all the same.
And that's because Seattle is never like that. That's the strange thing. Seattle has always been defense first, but now they're converting to an offense, and that's what I think has been keeping them out of a chance at another Super Bowl. I still believe Russell Wilson will win at least 2. But at this rate, it feels like it's not coming at all. Because they're missing something. They're doing something wrong. I think the lack of a run game is what's killing them.
Yeah, I mean, but if we just look at every team in the NFC, Green Bay against New England, the exact same thing that happened to Atlanta would have happened to Green Bay. If you look
I don't think it would be closer.
New England against Detroit. But I'm just putting it as in how the teams are made up. Each team had a great quarterback, had a questionable running game, minus Atlanta. Atlanta had a great running game.
They just didn't rely on it.
And Dallas had a great running game. But most of the teams were the exact same makeup on the NFC side. And, I just feel like, Green Bay would have been what Atlanta was in this game.
Yep, and that's been a problem. But that's why until these other teams get into shape, it's hard to pick against the Patriots. I mean, I'm picking against them next year, but I don't think I can now because I thought Brady would retire. He's saying he's not going to retire. He told his wife, "Sorry, babe," that he's going to still play.
Right.
So I was gonna save this for next season, but my AFC title game match was gonna be the Raiders at the Steelers, just like old times, just like in the '80s and the '70s with John Madden. I would like to see that old rivalry rekindled, but it doesn't. I don't think so. That might make a good divisional match, but that's about it. That's about the closest I could ask for out of that. But
We'll definitely see.
yes, but all right, then. Let's talk about the final drive. With just less than 3 minutes left, Bill. After that insane Edelman catch, one more play, 2-minute warning, and then it just goes. Brady throws some really crazy passes, including that risky bubble screen. I felt like he kind of lofted it up in the air to James White, who was able to get a first down, get out of bounds. James White, you and I both agree, we think he is the MVP. He is the true MVP, but it's hard to go against Brady. Like, to be honest, if the Falcons won, I would have given it to one of the defensive players. But I know Matt Ryan's going to get it because he played so well, minus that fumble.
Right.
He played so well, so I was like, it's going to be either Matt Ryan or Tom Brady. It was hard to pick against them, but yeah.
Right.
Anyway, as soon as they punched it in for a touchdown, that 2-point conversion was the scariest because remember, this situation was very similar to the title game last year with the Patriots and the Broncos. Remember, Gostowski missed a field of extra point kick in both of those games. But this time, they had to get another 2-point conversion to tie the game to go force an overtime. The difference was this time they made it because this defense was not as good. In fact, here's the crazy thing. They went offsides, and because someone went offsides, free play, Brady went for it. I think that's the one he gave to Amendola, and it went in.
Yeah, that was a very fast screen pass out to Amendola.
I think when that guy went offsides, he immediately threw it. I don't know if that was going to be the plan regardless. I think he was going to wait. I think he was going to wait it out for an open spot like the title game, but I think that offsides really helped Brady because it just decided, go for it. Who cares? You're going to get a free play. You're going to get 1 yard only to go through. You might even have to run it in if you miss. It's fine.
I mean, it was a great play, that whole sequence. I mean, if you're a New England fan, that's your entire season on the line in one play.
Yes, and oh my God, the fact that even when the Falcons, here's the thing, the Falcons should have never challenged that because I think that catch was going to be maybe questioned by the refs anyway, even though one of them confirmed it. They might have taken a look at the booth regardless, and because they lacked a timeout, that's why they had to punt. They couldn't have just maybe took a timeout after a run or something, or they get a first down, so they could just collect themselves and go for it. They did. I think the lack of a challenge really helped the Patriots because they lost the timeout. But anyway, let's move on to overtime. This overtime did not last long, and Bill, let's make this clear. You would have been completely accurate on this because you did call the Falcons score correctly and the first overtime in Super Bowl history correct, but you got the Patriots score off by 1. You said 35-28. You counted the extra point. If you didn't count that, Bill, you would have won the pick segment for this year, even if it was a tie. That would have been your tiebreaker because you got that right. Hell, I might have given you the freaking picks award for next year too. I'll still say you called it right. You shouldn't have called the extra point.
Oh yeah.
It's all right because I mean, as soon as Brady got the ball, the fate was determined by a coin toss, and people question, is this broken? Is the thing broken? I say a little bit of yes, but mostly no, because it was a lot worse in the past. It used to be first to score a field goal wins.
I still honestly believe the NFL needs to adopt the college games overtime rules. It'll be way more interesting, way better, and I'm sorry, there should be no more ties in the NFL. No more ties in the NFL. It screws up the playoff. People want to know if their team is going to be in or out. And having if Detroit and Green Bay tie, they can both technically make it. So legit, they could have just laid on the field, But that's just my opinion.
Yeah,
On
well,
that.
to
But
me,
back
it's like
to
if
overtime.
they should still do overtime like how they normally do, but if it ties at the end of the regulation, basically each team will have one shot to tie it. Like they'll start at the 10, first and goal. They got to get it in the 4 tries, either put a touchdown or score a field goal. So
Right.
for that team, for the first team, if they get it, great. That means the other team gets a shot to tie it. If they miss, if they fuck it up, that's it. But if it scores again,
Right.
then at that point, just you keep going until somebody fucks up a score. Actually, maybe you might have to force them to make a touchdown. That would make things more interesting because you just kick a field goal and be safe.
Right.
But if you force a touchdown only shootout, that means the first one to mess it up on 4 downs or turn the ball over loses if the other team already had points.
Right.
I don't know. That's at least what I would think. But anyway, I don't know. I can't decide overtime rules. That's the rule I can't really think all too much on changing. There are other rules you and I have mentioned. Like I want to believe you can challenge certain. I want to believe you can challenge certain calls. I would definitely because I want to challenge personal fouls. I want to challenge pass interference, and defensive holding fouls, stuff like that. I want to be able to challenge those which can be looked at and may possibly be overturned. But
Right. I mean, stuff and stuff that is, but make it a coach's challenge, not up in the booth. Make it a coach's decision about
I don't know what
whether
they'd
you
risk though,
challenge the
because I
call.
would not want to risk a timeout just for one of those. I would think it should be like maybe
I
add
mean,
more yardage to the opposing
uh,
team's favor.
I mean, at the end of the game, typically most coaches don't use their challenges until the end of the game anyway. What if there's a really horrendously stupid call at the end of the game, I really feel like the coaches should have the option if they want to challenge an idiotic call like that. Especially if you're just heaving one down the field and then there's a pass interference penalty that gives the other team 60 yards and it's just a shadow call.
Yes. Anyway, I think that with that in mind, let's move on to after the Patriots won. You know, that final play, James White runs it in from a screen pass to the house. That's it. That's all she wrote. And then, Bill, the moment of triumph. The moment I've been wanting for so long. Roger Goodell has to give the Patriots the Super Bowl trophy when he tried so far. He tried so hard, it got so far, but in the end, it didn't even matter because he had to give the Patriots, the team he purposely tried to not get into the Super Bowl, the damn trophy. He must have been so smug and happy that the Falcons were beating them 28-3 because Bill, this was a game that reminded us of the last 2 championship games for basketball and baseball. This was the equivalent of blowing a 3-1 lead. This should make it clear for us that the game's never over until it's over. I thought the Patriots were going to lose. I'm not going to deny that. My Twitter feed can prove that anyway. I thought the lack of Gronk was the reason why the Patriots were going to lose. Because without that middle of the field threat, the Patriots were exploitable on offense somehow.
And I was more in the camp that it's never over until it's over, and just I wavered a little bit, but I just sort of always sort of look at it like that, because I got to watch my Lions all year, and it was never over until it was over with them. So I mean, this is a championship game teams are not just a roll over
Yeah.
and die.
But anyway, so here's my favorite thing. Goodell just gave Robert Kraft the trophy, and while he's talking, he's getting booed by all the Patriots fans there. And you could hear it, and I was laughing. I was happy because, yes, boo this hater. Boo the hater. Because he tried so hard to not let them go. He suspended Brady. Oh, they're probably going to go like 2-2, and those 2 games they lose will cost them the first seed. No.
Guess where he has to go?
Yes, that's exactly what I'm building up to, Bill. He has to go to Foxborough on opening night to give them the rings. And he's going to get booed even more. You saw the Patriots fans in Houston. You know they all couldn't make it, but I guarantee you, as the owner, as Robert Kraft said, this was unequivocally sweet. And he even mentioned Goodell's attempt to suspend Brady. He did not directly say it, but we all knew what it was as he said, "You all know what I'm talking about." He's just trying to be respectful while also taking that shot.
Yep.
And
exactly.
And oh God, it was beautiful, Bill, because also he had to give Brady the MVP trophy.
Yep.
Anyway,
Yep.
Bill, do me a favor. I want you to watch this. I know we're not going to talk Super Bowl commercials, but there's this one I really want you to see.
Oh God.
But to those who don't know, if you want to see this one, just look up Shields MRI commercial.
Okay.
And I'm going to give context once it's done. Bill, you watch it. I'll just finish what I'm saying. I can't wait for... October can't come any faster, not just because of the next season, but also I can't wait to see Goodell get shamed and ridiculed by Patriots fans, and rightfully so. I'm just going to wait for Bill.
Yep. Oh yeah, okay, yeah, I saw that. Oh yeah.
Basically, to give some context, Brady was so confident about winning a Super Bowl this year, he filmed that commercial. If you want to know when? You see, Brady was suspended for the first 4 weeks, and he did a lot of things. He said he did not want to tell everybody everything he did, because it would make the NFL mad. This is that thing. This was that thing he did that would piss off Goodell. He filmed this back in September.
Oh man.
And he made this commercial to specifically take a shot. And in fact, here's the crazy thing. If that comeback didn't happen, we would never see this commercial. Maybe next year, but I don't think we would have seen this year. No way.
Right.
I'm glad, because this is a shot at Goodell, and I love it. It makes me happy. Because, yeah, Brady is going to need a bigger locker, because he's got the damn 5th ring. He has the Infinity Gauntlet of football. He controls all of the football universe. All is at his control, and there's no Avengers in the world that can stop him.
Right.
So, yes, this is going to be... This was fun. This was my commercial. This was the commercial that made my day. But, anyway. Now then, Bill, I think with that in mind, let's recap the rest of the season. Bill, how did you feel about the Super Bowl overall? Was this the greatest one you've ever watched?
I still think I think it was right up there. It's definitely right up there. It's always tough to look at that as in a historical context of stuff that I've seen. In terms of football. I mean, I would definitely put in my top 3. Definitely. It's hard to say which one's better between Arizona and Pittsburgh, or that Seattle, New England.
That's the one I have
Seattle,
number 1.
Yeah, it's really difficult to pick any of those 3, because each of those 3 were very, very intriguing Super Bowls.
Yes. I'm gonna go with that same one, the New England Seattle game. That one I think was just a much better game overall. That's because it was more competitive the whole way through. Whereas this one, come from behind, the fourth quarter, definitely as great as the other Super Bowl I'm talking about. But I gotta go with the Seattle New England one because it was thrilling to the end.
Yeah, that game was very close throughout the game. There was a definite bitter. It was a bitter game. That game just was bitterly played. Both teams had a very big chip on their shoulder, and I mean, Seattle played with a chip on their shoulder. New England did too, and
And now they
it
had an
served.
even bigger one here.
Yeah, I mean they had an even bigger one here, but Atlanta's just not the same defense as Seattle. Seattle's got the big mouth and Sherman. It just felt more satisfying for the Patriots to beat the Seahawks rather than satisfying of New England beating Atlanta, because Atlanta's really didn't say anything. They were very much respectful. Both teams sort of had a mutual respect.
Yep. The one other thing I was gonna say was ah, damn! Now I lost my train of thought. Thanks, Bill. You you helped me forget what I was gonna say, but ah, damn! Now I'm trying to remember what I was gonna say. Thank you, Bill. Thank you for that help. Uh, I want to say it was something about Tom Brady specifically again, but oh yeah, I think this definitely cements him as the greatest of all time. I don't think there's any room for debate on that. There's some people who still think Rodgers is better, and they're free to think that, but here's the thing. Tom Brady's backup has more rings than him now. He's only made one Super Bowl appearance and won one. Like I said, records don't matter to me. Rings do, and how you do in the postseason matter. And as you said, Bill, he's made it to how many straight AFC title games?
Like 6.
That's crazy. He's won 6 Super Bowls. Or 6. He's won 5 Super Bowls. He's appeared in 7. He's lost lost only 2 to the Giants. But
And 2 on miracle catches.
oh yeah, and he won one with the miracle catch too. Now, so that's why I say the ghost of Tyree really helped him. But oh
So
god, oh yeah, I remember what I was
technically-
gonna say now, Bill. What I was gonna say was that people are making all these jokes about, oh, the Patriots are deflated, the cheaters are being put in their place. Spygate cheaters, yes. I still believe Deflategate was bullshit. Just an excuse for Goodell to stop the Patriots from winning a Super Bowl. He did not want them to win anymore. He thinks it's bad for business. But here's the other thing. 2 years ago, you might have forgot it, on that same year, the Falcons, when they played Pittsburgh, were caught in the act of using artificial crowd noise because nobody wanted to watch a Falcons game 2 years ago. And now everyone loves the Falcons. Again, we call this the bandwagon factor. But if you're going to give the Patriots shit for calling them cheaters, maybe why don't you point that out? I wonder how you didn't hear about that. Oh, that's right. The freaking Roger Goodell didn't want to talk about actual cheating. He wanted to talk about the Patriots. And you don't want to talk about a bad team cheating, because what if they get good? You don't want that staining their perfect reputation. My point is, I'm not trying to justify anything that the Patriots have done in the past. Well, Spygate in particular, because I don't believe Deflategate was a thing. But I'm saying every team has cheated, they will cheat, and they always will cheat. Your team cheats, look up that website, and you'll find every instance of a team being caught cheating, and whether they've paid the price for it.
Right. I mean, and no matter what sport, every team cheats. Every team's on flop.
Isn't that
Every
right,
team's
St. Louis
going-
Cardinals? Yeah, that's what you get for trying to steal Carlos Correa from us, you bastards.
I mean, every team is going to try to get one over on every other team, and in the end, it's about getting caught. And I just feel like professional sports. There's so much at stake. People lose their jobs over the stupidest stuff, and obviously you're going to cheat.
Yes. But anyway, Bill, let's move on to the thoughts on the overall season. How did you feel about this season, Bill?
overall, I think the season was good. There's a few things that would need changing, and one of my big complaints, and you heard it a little bit earlier, was the ties. And obviously, I'm a big proponent of the NFL getting it right and having no more ties ever again. And if that even goes as far as, let's say if they get to the end of overtime without a winner, just have the kickers do a kickoff, see how far they can make a field goal, and there
I
you
say
go.
first to miss.
Yeah, first to miss and go at 5-yard increments. You know, I mean, don't get to this point where you have a great season and you don't know if your team's going to be in or not because of some archaic, stupid reason. As well, the Cincinnati Bengals got a tie, so that acts better than your loss that you had. But my team's actually playing better than Cincinnati right now. But because they tied some team that's 2-10, you know, they didn't technically lose, but they didn't technically win. So I'm just one to get rid of all ties.
That's fine. I don't know how they'd work it though.
Ties are just one of those things that need to just go.
Yep, and I believe I said it earlier. I'm a bigger proponent for challenging some calls. I don't think you can challenge every call. Like say a false start, offside. Some are obvious, but
Right.
but some like pass interference, be it on offense or defense. If you can make a case for it, by all means challenge it. I don't know what they'd stake. I don't think a timeout is worth at stake for a pass interference call. Sometimes I would think maybe if you're wrong, depending on the penalty, it adds more yard. It puts yards in favor of the other team. So if you're on offense and you get the call wrong, you get pushed back
Right.
5 more yards, or you lose a down, or something.
Right.
And if you're on defense, the offense moves further up. I don't know. That's what I would probably do for something like that. I don't know how many you could limit for a challenge, but I think it'd be interesting if they actually allowed that, because if we could, guess what? That Lions-Cowboys playoff game would be very much different.
Right. Yeah.
But anyway, the rest of the season, the Cowboys were a surprise. I could not have been more wrong about them. And the Raiders, I'm so glad, because all that shit talking about Derek Carr and all the praising of Teddy Bridgewater, who's hurt, and he wasn't bad. He was getting better. I'll give him that much. But Blake Bortles, like, oh, Blake Bortles gonna lead the Jaguars to the playoffs. Even I got sucked into the hype. Who wants to bet? Bill, give it a couple of months, or give it till the minute free agency opens. The Jaguars are gonna be like, oh, look at this team. It's gonna be on the rise this year again. You're gonna hear that shit again. You're gonna hear that shit about the Browns. You can hear that shit about the Jaguars. You might hear it about the Titans, but I think the Titans are rightfully so, because as much as I don't want Mariota to succeed, I feel like it's an inevitability at this point.
And I'll one of the other things for this season that I, am uh, that I sort of looked at was uh, the the overall, what needs to change is that the CBA needs to eventually, the players need to look at the CBA and look at practice time as a good thing, not a bad thing. Practice time doesn't get you hurt. Practice time gets you in shape and ready and raring to go. What doesn't work for you is not practicing and then going into a game and getting injured. That is what's hurting players in this league. Players are not getting any practice time because of the CBA, because they wanted to make sure that no one gets hurt in practice. I mean, overall, in the end, it's actually hurting players. It's causing ACL blowouts. It's causing a lot of different stuff. I really would hope that in the next couple of years, because in 2019, the CBA's up.
Yes, but that's going to be interesting.
Look at that, and get some practice time for your backups, because you don't want to lose backups. You're ending people's careers before they even begin in the NFL because you're not allowing people to practice.
Yeah. Bill, now I have a question for you. Were there any teams that caught your eye in this season for the right or wrong reasons?
Well, one team that sort of surprised me, quite a lot, was actually the, unlike you, the Oakland Raiders. I thought they were going to be much better and much more improved. I didn't expect them to be like almost a contender for a number 1 seed. The other team that sort of surprised me, and I think it's a sign of the future, was how Green Bay started the season. They started the season 4-6. I think that's more on the cusp of reality, because I think Aaron Rodgers is starting to pass his prime, and his biggest attribute has always been his wheels, and he doesn't have that anymore. And you're starting to see a lot of injuries take their toll. So Green Bay, I think, was another surprise, and really they got really lucky at the end of the year.
As soon as Teddy Bridgewater comes back, which I'm more confident that he's gonna be the starter again. As soon as he comes back and he can not get injured, I think that Vikings team could actually make a run for a Super Bowl. As soon as they get a running back, but that's all they need.
Detroit's gonna be scary, because you know what sort of my Lions sort of look like? They sort of look like the Atlanta Falcons from a couple years ago.
Yeah, I see what you mean, which I guess this transitions to our final topic, the future for the other 3 teams. I don't think there's much to talk about with the Patriots. I mean, they're like 9 free agents, like Martellus Bennett, Hightower is also an unsung hero, because if he did not get that strip sack, that would not have turned the momentum in the Patriots' favor at all. But there were a lot of plays. Brady said he could list at least 30 plays that if they did not go the way they did, they would have lost, and I don't think he's wrong there. But I think one of the bigger ones of those 30 was that Hightower strip sack. And then there's Malcolm Butler and the Garrett Blount. You know they're going to sign Malcolm Butler.
Oh, yeah. Malcolm Butler and Dante Hightower they're going to sign. LeGarrette Blount, if for the right price, sure. I don't see them.
I think
re-signing
Bennett should if he's not a hypocrite, because he said that you don't go to New England to get paid. You want to go because you want to win a ring. He's not getting paid more than Gronk per year. We know that's a fact, right. And he should be aware of that.
No.
I think he'll be smart if he's anything what he said earlier. He should just take a low contract and stay. I think. If he wants another shot, he should know that this Patriots team is one of the few that has a shot for next year.
Right.
But
yeah.
So as we mentioned, the Lions. I don't think we mentioned it much on the last week's podcast, but the Lions are going under a rebranding phase. They're actually going to unveil new uniforms in April, which I think, Bill, when we get to the free agency side, I hope it's after April 14th. That's the day. Mark your calendar, Bill, because they're going to unveil new uniforms. I believe, however, they're still going to keep the old throwbacks they did 10 years ago with the black.
Yeah.
They're keeping that as for the color rush scheme. I don't think that's going to change, especially since they already sold uniforms for that. That'd be, it's like, hey, here's this one uniform jersey, now it's gone. I don't think anyone would want limited edition jerseys, because that's a stupid idea. You don't do that. That's like trying to do with the video games, like limited edition bundles for video games. That you can get away with, but you can't do that with a fucking jersey, because jerseys cost an arm and a leg.
Right. I mean, in the end, the rebranding is going to be, they've rebranded before, and it's happened in the past, but I'll look at it and we'll see what it looks like. I'm doubting they're gonna go too far away from the
I'm kind of
old.
gonna miss the black color. I like the black. The black makes for some good
I mean,
matching with the blue and the silver. They're keeping the blue, the Honolulu blue. It's literally their fucking blood at this point. They're not getting rid of that.
oh yeah.
But
No,
I think what
if they got
I think what this means
if
is
they
what you've been saying for months now. Actually, is the Bob Quinn effect, where he is
yeah.
trying to
Oh
make
man.
this team into a serious contender.
Yeah, know, and that's one of my big things I'm looking forward to this off season is Bob Quinn is a genius. I mean the New England Patriots were praising him during Super Bowl week. I mean he's our GM. I mean I'm very much looking forward to the future. My team is on the rise. And I think Green Bay is on the downswing.
Yeah,
So
and you have to
that's
enjoy
a
the
thing.
time without Teddy Bridgewater because of the Vikings. Until
I mean, the
Bridgewater comes back, they're
Vikings.
not going to be a contender.
Yeah, I mean, uh, to be fair, I don't think they're a contender when Bridgewater gets back. I mean,
Well, they have
he's
2 years to get a run game back.
yeah. I mean, they don't have Adrian Peterson.
Adrian
after this year.
Peterson might sign with the Vikings, the Colts, or the Texans, or the Cowboys. I think he's going to want to go to Dallas, but I don't think they want him.
Well, if he goes to Dallas, he's going to be the number 2 running.
Yeah, because I think he's aware of that.
That's just
I would like to think he's smart because Elliott is what he was when he was younger.
Exactly.
So he should be aware. Yeah, that's the young guy who's always got fresh legs. And plus he gets to rest, so he can go when he needs to, when he's called up, and bam. But
right.
anyway, as for the Cowboys, speaking of them, the Cowboys, as I've said, I don't believe this is the end of Dallas. I mean, they're the only team that had high ratings, minus the Patriots Seahawks game. But the thing that I think should be noted is I sounded like a hater for the Cowboys this whole season, and you can feel free to believe that still if you want. But I believe that the problem with the Cowboys was always their secondary and their whole defense, because it was either lacking a pass rush, lacking a good secondary in terms of actually stopping the pass, and that's pretty much was their Achilles heel, especially when the rematch against the Packers came through, because the Packers made them look like a joke. And that's the problem. They need to address many things on defense, but until that happens, I can't see them win a Super Bowl. But as soon as they do, I would pick them as a Super Bowl favorite. If they start addressing it this year, hell, if their draft this year is nothing but like first early rounds, defensive players, late rounds, some offensive lineman depth, great. I might even actually pick them for a Super Bowl run. I would probably say they can get to the title game at best, but it all depends on who they play.
I mean, and the other thing is the only thing I'll caution is that the old sophomore slump, as they call it, and you have both Dak and Ezekiel Elliott going into their second year, and there's always the sophomore slump. You saw it this year with Todd Gurley.
Although to be fair, Todd Gurley just had a shit team.
And David Carr had a sophomore slump. I mean, he was good in his first year. He sort of took a step back in his second year. He exploded in his third year, and here he is. So, sophomore slump is.
By the way, how did you feel that that Dak Prescott actually stole that award from Ezekiel Elliott?
I thought it was going to happen. To be fair,
Well, that's why you picked him. But aren't you glad?
I mean, I thought it was going to happen because I feel like on one hand, no one appreciates a running back in today's NFL, and they're a vital part. But I just feel like if you put if you put any rookie quarterback back there, he wouldn't have been as good as Dak was with that team.
And Dak's numbers were better than Brady's in his rookie year.
Yeah, I mean, and Dak was better than Carson Wentz, and Dak was better than any other rookie quarterback. I mean, so
he's even better than most second-year quarterbacks.
Oh yeah, I think Dak has a very bright.
My dream Super Bowl, aside from Houston, Dallas, is right now Oakland and Dallas, because I want to see these young players just have a go at each other.
I'll
be honest though, I might root for the Raiders a little more solely because I think Derek Carr is my favorite quarterback to watch. I know some people don't want to call him elite. I don't think he's elite, but I think he's at the very minimum top 10. And that's a big deal considering he was an afterthought. Because again, everyone's like, oh, Bridgewater and Blake Bortles. Blake Bortles is going to be the greatest quarterback. He's going to be the new Big Ben. No, if anything, as you said, Bill, he is the new, what's his name again?
Blaine Gabbert.
There you go. I was going to say Blake Griffin for basketball. I guess Blake Griffin's not doing good with the Clippers anyway. Clippers can't even hang with the freaking Warriors. But anyway, I'm gonna say I think the Cowboys are definitely a team on the rise. They just need to work on their defense. Their offense is perfect. I know some people are like, maybe the Cowboys should draft a tight end in the first round. It's like, no, shut up. Jason Witten might have 1 year left in him, and yes, I understand that, but no, you know damn well the reason why we missed the Super Bowl or missed a chance to the title game, and that's because you didn't have a fucking good defense. If Green Bay didn't exploit you, I guarantee you Atlanta would have. Atlanta would have went up and down the field on your asses. Possibly even worse than Green Bay's. So, I don't want to hear any of that shit. We should draft a tight end. We should draft a wide receiver. No, you fucking morons. We need defense. Anyone comes to my face and tells me we need and seriously says we need offense for the next draft or free agency, I will personally backhand you, because that is stupid. I might even have to ask. I might even have to escort you to to the NFL's concussion doctors to see if you have one, because you must not be thinking right if you think Dallas needs more weapons. You're no better than the Packers. Like you said earlier, that's the reason why the Packers will not go to the Super Bowl until they have a viable, reliable defense that you can lean on when you need to. That's when the Cowboys will make a Super Bowl run and possibly win it. Because if they have a defense they could depend upon, not one that needs to only come when the offense is done. It's like, okay, we need to get a takeaway quick or we're going to get scorched. No, you don't want to be like that type of defense. You want to be a defense who can make a play, who is capable of that. You don't need to be Denver's historic defense. You don't need to be the 2000 Ravens. You just need to be above average. That's all you need to do. Just be good at your job, and that's it. That's all I think Dallas needs, because the offense can do the rest for them because they're smart. They burn the clock so they let you rest. It's a win-win.
I mean, you have a running quarterback. You have a good run.
You have a really good. You have depth in running backs. You have so many running backs. You don't know what to do with them, and they really don't know what to do with Alfred Morris and Darren McFadden. That's how good their depth is on the running back side.
I'll put it this way, the Dallas Cowboys, their biggest problem is their defense, and they need depth at linebacker because, Sean Lee has been,
remember
the last couple of years.
Their second round pick, Jalen Smith, who was unable to play this year, he is going to come back for the second season.
Right. I mean, I would want to see them draft totally defense, get young on defensive side, and just compete. Compete for positions and make sure that the defensive side of the football knows every position on this field is a competition minus Sean Lee. Other than that, I would throw them into a direct competition because that team's defense is not very good right now, and if you can make them compete for their jobs, they'll go in through the off season and work
I don't
hard
know if you
to get
heard
better.
this as well, but apparently DeMarcus Ware wants to spend his final year as a Cowboy and retire as said Cowboy. I think that's cool.
I mean,
I'd like that actually because I can't I it's still hard to see him in a Broncos jersey. I
right.
would so love to just see him play one more game as a Cowboy. It'd be nice if he won a Super Bowl with them too. I mean, he already got his ring. They stole it from him, but he got it back. But again, I don't know how you feel about that, Bill. I mean, he won't be the guy. He could be, but they're gonna try and let DeMarcus Lawrence and Crawford be those two premier edge rushers. But I would like to
I
see
mean,
Ware on the other side of them, backing them up.
I mean, I obviously think if they have room and they want them back, go ahead and sign there, man.
But anyway, I was gonna say the last team on the list, and this is one I don't feel any hope for, is Houston. Houston is not good right now on offense. Like their players are great, but just the quarterback and the line. I think they're going to address the offensive line, and
they need to.
and I think they have to get a quarterback at some point. Maybe draft one in the second or third round. I would prefer the third, but I don't know who can fit that well. If anything, my hope is that Romo doesn't get traded because I don't think any team wants him via trade. They don't want to give the Cowboys something because they know they're good at what they have already. They would rather
Right.
him get cut and then try to get him for something, get him for something cheap for a year. That's what I would hope for
Right.
Houston to do. You have to keep Osweiler. You may as well keep him there for this year. See if you can get a win if Romo gets hurt, which I hope not. But
Yeah.
you know it's coming. You know that's something that's inevitable at this point with his career. And hey, if you
Right.
want,
I
you
mean,
could structure his contract to where the more games he misses, the less money he makes. What does he need to
I
worry
mean,
about it? He's already a good
oh,
quarterback. He's a proven quarterback, but he knows he's injury frail.
I mean, overall, that's going to be the contract he's going to sign. No team is going to, risk his injury history.
Yeah. Like I said, I don't think the Broncos need him. They believe in Simeon, and they drafted Paxton Lynch in the first round for a reason. While he may not be ready, they're gonna wait for him to be able to lead the team. That's the goal. Would Romo be a good front until then? Yes. But
I
I
think
think the players are aware that this team needs to rebuild a little bit on the offensive side before they are ready for another run.
I think it's a two-team race for Romo, and that's Houston and Denver. And I feel, if it goes to a free agency type situation, I would say that Denver has a better shot. And I'll just put it out there, just as a thought, Denver I think has a better shot at him because I don't think the ownership is going to want to go away from Brock after investing all
I
that
would think
cash
they should.
into.
Well, here's the thing. They've said Brock is is still on a leash. He needs to play better or else.
I
McNair's
mean,
made that clear now, and I'm glad he has. But I still don't give him. I still could give him shit for it because that was stupid.
I'll I'll put it this way. His first 2 years are guaranteed, and the rest is not. And he's the leash is the contract. That's basically what it is.
I think if he gets benched
The
again for any reason, he's gonna get cut no matter what.
I think that would kill them in terms of
Well, let's be
salary
like I
cap.
said, Bill. We looked at the schedule. I showed you what it's going to look like generally.
Oh yeah.
It's brutal.
Oh yeah.
There's no fucking way. I don't see him coming out of that with a 9-7 record. That's why I said with confidence. I think the Titans are going to go win the division because the Colts are the same position as the Packers and the Cowboys.
Yeah.
They'll never even taste the Super Bowl with no defense, and the Colts are in a worse spot than the Packers. But
Right.
at least Rodgers can be clutch. Luck can't be because his whole team is so shit. But with the Titans, they are now becoming completely balanced. They've got just as good of a run game. They've but they also have young rising defense with what's his name? Jurrell Casey, I think his name is. He's number 99
Right,
for them.
yeah.
With him leading, and their corners are better, and they got 2 first-round picks. They get an early one from the Rams, and they have their own. They're in really good
Yep.
position.
Yep.
But you see, that's just why I have no faith in the Texans this year. So when we get to the pick or the early schedule predictions at the like next summer, I'm pretty sure I'm gonna have to. I'm pretty sure I'm gonna go like 6-10, 5-11. It all depends on how it's structured. Something tells me they're gonna have a stretch of road games that are gonna be brutal. Like you're gonna go from at Cincinnati to at Baltimore to at New England, and I was like, that's it. That's rip.
I'll put it this way: I'm gonna wait until I see what happens in free agency. I'm not one for predicting stuff right now for any team. You know, I just feel like.
But Bill,
you know,
I believe the
Houston-
Cowboys and the Lions will make the playoffs as division champions next
Oh,
year.
yeah.
But I can't see Houston winning that for the life of them. You know, when you know that that team is completely superior to yours, and there's no arguing, you can't talk yourself into it. You just have to, you know, accept it. Like you and I know that the Packers are heavily flawed. That's why you can make a case for the Lions, because even though they're flawed, the Packers are in no position for that shit. They can't run a table worth shit. But I just don't believe in them. And I don't have much else to say aside from one little quick story before we end the season, Bill.
Yep.
After the Super Bowl was over, someone stole Tom Brady's jersey. So the lieutenant governor of Texas had to issue out a note for people to find this man and bring him to justice. And guess what? The
geez.
baseball team, which you would think it's the Astros since it's in Houston, no, they just like, we gave you guys our stadium for a day so you could just have your press conferences. I don't want to get involved anymore. But the Texas
Right.
Rangers were like, we're on the case. Adrian Beltre, or however you say his name, I don't know how you pronounce his name. Him and the rest of the
Adrian
Rangers
Beltre.
on the case, and as soon as they say it, the guy turns it in. I mean, he didn't get in trouble because he gave it up, but oh man, what were you doing? Why are you trying to take that? I get it's a piece of history, but that's one of the smelliest pieces of history you could ever want.
Right.
It's like, was he planning on selling it on eBay? Because if you do that, the NFL's not stupid. They could just have a cop go in over there. It's like, hey, I'm here to buy your jersey, and then bam, go to jail. Because if that's yours, if they can prove that that's Brady's, all the NFL will need to do is have the get a search warrant and tell eBay, hey, give us that guy's address and we'll take him down, and they can.
I mean, you know, NFL jerseys are different from the ones that you buy. There's definite
NFLshop.com.
There's definite. Yeah.
Overpriced. They're
You know,
overpriced though, Bill. Let's be real. That's
They say that, you know, the jerseys are the same. They're not. You know, NFL jerseys are going to be made a certain way, have certain things all over the place that tell, hey, this is an NFL
Yeah,
jersey,
you're not-
you know.
Yeah, you're not getting a player's jersey unless A, you know a family member who
They
is
give
part
it
of those
to you.
teams, or B, you're that kid from that freaking Coca-Cola commercial. Hey kid, catch. Unless you're that kid, there's no way you should have a real jersey from them.
Correct.
But yeah. Anyway, Bill, I think that'll do it for this season. Do you have anything else, any last-minute things to add before we call this season a do?
It's been a really fun season, and you know, I'll throw the Cleveland fans a bone. I'm not going to pick them 0-16 next year.
Oh yeah, I don't think so either. I'm gonna say 4-12 to be generous. I mean, they got a lot of picks, but I don't think Sashi Brown is good for Sashi Brown. I forget his last name. Sashi, he was like the New York Mets or Yankees GM. I don't think baseball translates to football very well. They're two completely different things. You don't have 47 rounds in the draft.
Right.
I found that out yesterday. I'm like, what? 47 rounds?
Yeah.
How long are they there?
It's about a 2 to 3 day process.
And they go through 47 rounds, and it's like, oh, let's have 3 days going through these picks for the draft in NFL. Jesus Christ.
I think they only do like 2-minute rounds or 3-minute rounds per after the
There's
first.
like, okay, Rangers, who do you want? Okay, good. Who do you want, Blue Jays? Who do you want, Mets? Who do you want, Yankees? That's how it goes. Like it's an auction house, but like a really fast auction.
It's really fast. Really, you're not going to trade in baseball to any because those are all high school players typically, and typically, they go into your farm system. Really, you're never gonna see the trades until they actually become prospects in your farm system.
Yeah. Well, Bill, I don't have much else to say. I like the season overall, even if the Lions frustrated me a bit. And then the Texans just Brock Osweiler. After the Patriots lost, I was just realizing it was wrong to be sucked into the hype. Love the defense though, but as we know, unless you're historic, you can't carry your bad team to the Super Bowl because the offense needs to be just same thing like I said with the Cowboys, but in reverse. The offense needs to be reliable and dependable when you need it.
Correct.
But yeah. Anyway, that'll do it. This is an end to the 2016-2017 season. Next time, we're going to open up at the beginning of the 2017-2018 free agency, and hopefully by then we get to talk some new Lions uniforms, some new free agents for any of the 4 teams, although I don't think New England's getting much. But yeah. Should be fun whenever we get to that. We'll see you guys in a couple months.
Heck yeah.
Later. All right, Bill. How was that?